And we're back.
Yes, we're back for the 11th episode. We beat 10 and now we're on the path to 20. How you doing, John?
Doing alright. How are you?
Yeah, all right. We had a bit of a issue with time zones this morning with the whole daylight savings.
You there?
Yeah,
Okay. It sounds like you glitched out there for a second, but it's
I don't know what's happening. This Discord is like, I don't know, it's being a little bit of a little bitch, but whatever.
you're okay right now. So
All
yeah.
right. All right, cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, as I was saying, we're having a trouble with time zone stuff and daylight savings, and it was just a bit of a mess. So,
Gotta figure it out though, and so we are we're back for number 11.
yeah. Yes, we're talking about expressionistic foreign films, and we're also talking about Steven Soderbergh. So it's a bit of a different episode, I think. First time we've talked about a short film on the show, so very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there might even be a little bit of a self promotion on my end for something I recently released. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to get into it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you start us off with your recommendation.
Alright, my recommendation for this week was a bit of a weird one, but it was for a short film called Hunger or La Fame. It is um it's either French or Canadian. I can't remember. I should have done more research, but it's a 1974 animation directed by Peter Folds, and it's one of the first computer animated things to ever exist. And it's this rapidly morphing animation about like greed and gluttony, and it's great.
Yeah. No, it's really great. I think I didn't know what to expect going into this because this is one of the films where you're like, okay, I see the plot synopsis and I see the poster, but who knows what it's actually going to be like when I actually watch it. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think there's quite a bit of depth in the span of like 11 minutes that this thing runs for. It's very packed full of like interesting animation concepts that I'm sure we'll get into a little later, but. Yeah, I was very impressed. I thought this was very well done.
Cool. Yeah. I don't remember how I first stumbled upon it, but I found it one day and I was just like, what the heck is this? And I watched it and it was so weird and so creative and disturbing, and it had a lot to say, and I'm like, I need to talk about this with somebody. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it because it's probably my favorite short. It's one of them.
Yeah, I just love how of its time and how ahead of its time it was. Because I love, firstly, just ignoring the animation and the themes for a second. I really love the music of it.
Hmm.
I think it's got that very mysterious, kind of funky, kind of abstract. It reminds me of On the Corner by Miles Davis at points in terms of its like aesthetic, like from a music perspective. I think.
I
Um,
could see that. Yeah, it reminded me of some Frank Zappa type music, like Mothers of Invention, like a lot of their earlier stuff. It's more repetitive than that, but it has the same general style.
Yeah, totally. And I think that when I was watching it, I said this in my review, but the art style and the music reminds me of like an alternate universe where instead of Sergeant Pepper being used as the art style for the Yellow Submarine, it was instead it's Revolver used for the art style, and the music is like if the Beatles never did psychedelic and they were just an avant-garde funk expressionist band. So that's what popped into my mind when I finished it. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's a really interesting. It sounds really great. Like it's a very interesting piece that has like it's very creative. Like it has this very unique art style that yeah, it does remind me of like the Revolver cover, and it's like it looks like sketched out and hand drawn, but it's morphing in like ways that like only a computer could make. You know, it's if that makes
yeah,
sense. It feels like a bridge between hand drawn and computer animation, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, I was when I finished it, I went looking to the comments of the YouTube video because I was curious what other people had to say, and a lot of people don't seem to like it, or at least kind of dismiss it as some, oh, it's just drugs, bro. It's just an acid trip. Like it's not, it doesn't make any sense. Even when I wasn't trying to analyze it, I could tell there was certain assortment of themes sprinkled throughout it, and you know, I don't think it's, I don't think you should just boil it down to, oh, they were stoned, bro. That kind of attitude. It's like, um,
Yeah, this movie is a really great social commentary on a lot of issues. Um, Something I definitely picked up on is the objectifying of women, uh, and
yeah.
how people just like treat them as trophies, and like instead of actually like treating them as equals and loving them as like actual people. And that kind of ties in like the general theme of like more and more and more, like people just want more and stuff and more food, and ignoring the fact that there are people out there who don't have that luxury. And the way this short ends, I don't want to spoil it yet, but it's like 10 minutes long. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. But yeah, the way the short ends is horrific and also amazing.
Yeah, I wanna talk about that ending a little bit later, but I think there was also a case to be made for aging, like the theme of like aging and you know even I know there was that whole thing with him gaining weight and stuff like that, but it seems like every time he like um you know got started like committing adultery and started getting with all these women, he would get fatter, or every time he'd eat, he'd get fatter. So I think that was like kind of a commentary on the modern man, at least in the mid 70s, and I'd argue that that still carries on today. Is that there's a lot of people out there that are wasting their lives just, working for a big business, eating, like participating in, adultery and, debauchery and whatever and whatnot. And I think this film acts as a great window into that, lifestyle, and it's never hit you over the head with it. It's kind of abstract, so you can take it any way you want, but that's what I got out of it anyway. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is both this person growing up, but also growing out. um,
Quite
and,
literally.
yeah, exactly. And like, um, in a way, I don't think it is even growing up, because as this person progresses, he seems to get more and more immature and like selfish, and um, it's presented in a style that like really accentuates everything into this kind of exaggerated tone, but it's still like, yeah, it develops into this thing where every single thing, like every object, every person can transform into any object, and like these people are just objects now. Like they don't actually have any purpose, and they don't actually do anything except just take up space. And that was a
Mm.
fascinating idea to me.
No, for sure. And I think that like you were talking about the whole thing with taking up space and lacking, meaning. I think that they get their revenge in the end. Um, he starts to. It's a reality check at the end. Like he's in submission and he neglects a lot of things in his life, and in the end, it's kind of a wake up call. I don't know if you view it that way, but that's definitely what I saw.
To me, it was like um it was him going so far down the rabbit hole that he finds the end of it, and it's just like, oh, these are the consequences of my actions, and like this is like all of my gluttony and greed have like caused these like children to starve, which I guess is getting into spoilers. But you should watch the short. It's literally it's 10 minutes long. It's easy to
Yeah,
find.
you could literally just open another tab on your browser, look it up, watch it, and then come back in like 10 minutes. Like that's how quick it'll take to like watch it. So.
Mhm. If you have time to listen to the podcast, you have time to watch the short. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I reckon that this is probably the most easiest one to watch in terms of time of what we've talked about. So there's no excuse, y'all. Come
Yeah.
on. But okay, I'm just gonna talk about that ending a bit. So he's he's surrounded by all these like kind of really malnourished kind of cannibals and stuff at the end, and um, there's always been this motif throughout it of gluttony and just matter of fact like capitalism and adultery like I mentioned before, and these cannibals are actually really scary. Like
Hmm.
in contrast with the rest of the film, they're actually quite frightening, and the way that they move their mouths and the way they confront the main character, it just raises a lot of questions to like, oh, what are the implications of this? What does this mean? And we alluded to it before with the whole, I used to reach the end of the tunnel thing, but I just found that very interesting.
Yeah, I think the idea of it is like I like the build up to it because it's the movie up to that point is very uncomfortable and weird and surreal, but it isn't like hard to sit through necessarily. Whereas like
Yeah,
that last like half a minute before it just like goes to credits is like, oh crap, it is like a wake up call, like you said, and it's I think it's the most disturbing part of the short, which is in itself very messed up. But yeah, I think the idea of like all these children having to like who are starving and malnourished having to eat this guy because it's the only source of food they have, and the fact that he's taking food away from other mouths that could have used it more than he could have is a really interesting and smart commentary on it. And
yeah,
I think it's the most the movie gets to a human touch, if that makes sense. It's more like realist than anything. Like
mm,
obviously, like it like the animation and everything. It's not gonna happen, but it's like it is like you said a wake up call, and it's a
yeah.
very disturbing moment.
And I noticed that at the end, the animation gets a bit more restricted and less like wavy and bendy like previously in the film because throughout the film, characters move in very odd, strange ways, and I think that contributes to most of the 3D animation, and that's what I quite like about how like the characters move. But by the end, he's very constricted and becomes very more still than like we've been accustomed to throughout watching. So I think that's a good contrast to really sell the power of the scene, and it's that kind of messing with realism and the surreal that kind of like makes it work, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really interesting short, and I'm surprised people don't like it more than like I don't know. I feel like it's very underrated. Like
yeah.
it doesn't have the best reception or anything, and that's sad to me because it has a lot to say, and I think it's really well done.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure if like I would put it among my favorites or anything. Like, um, I think I think one of the things was that I really enjoyed it, but it just didn't hit that place in me where it really resonated where I go, oh, I love this. I got to give it a 10 or a 9. It just stayed at a certain love level for me, if that makes any sense. It
Yeah,
didn't really go, yeah,
it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to get attached to it because it is so weird and like avant-garde, but I feel like it is a piece of art that I can appreciate and come back to over and over, so that's why I would give it like a 10.
oh, 100%. And I don't know, I don't think I would have like major issues with it or anything. It's pretty like for what it does and what it's trying to do, it does it pretty well.
Hmm.
It's just whether it resonates with you enough for you to call it something that oh I love this or I respect it enough that I want to give it a 9 or a 10. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
it's
me anyway.
it's a pretty great short, I would say, and I would recommend anybody who hasn't already seen it
Yeah.
check it out because it's underrated.
Yeah, I think it's a very emotional, very, kind of visceral experience. I think that everyone will have a different experience with it. I think that, sometimes something more abstract can mean a lot more to us because it never really gives us direct answers. And that's why it's kind of a bit more interesting, at least to me, at least.
Yeah, and like yeah, it's very atmospheric too. It like it's
Yeah.
it's surprising how much it accomplishes in 10 minutes, and I think that's what should be appreciated most about it is how much it kind of crams in there.
Yeah, I think some filmmakers will take 2 hours to just say what this film does in 10 minutes, which is I think is the most impressive thing I can say about this film is that, and and the fact that they made it so it wasn't stuffed to the brim like it was overwhelming, like all this way too much. Everything feels like organic and natural to what it's trying to do, and yeah, very well done.
So I've already kind of said my score for it, but yeah, I think it's a 10. I think it's probably my
Yeah,
favorite short. It's wonderful.
yeah, I gave it an 8. Uh,
That's
I'll
fair.
have to watch it again at some point. Um, but yeah, just very well done, and one of the best animated anything of the 70s, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the 70s weren't exactly a prosperous time for animation. I was,
No,
I mean, even Disney wasn't doing too well in the 70s, but yeah, like I mean the
I wonder
Wall.
why.
Yeah, like I think the Wall is the only thing that I can come up with that was like 70s animation, but even then I don't think the
I think that was 80s. Wasn't
really
that early 80s? I think so.
I thought
Because the album
hmm,
album came out in 79
that's true.
and the movie came out in like 81, 82. So, yeah.
Yeah, that might be 80s after all. I don't know.
Yeah, so the one film you thought was 70s wasn't even in the 70s.
I don't know. It just feels very 70s.
Yeah. I mean, I always had an affinity for those 70s Disney films because I kind of grew up on some of them. Like, if I'm not mistaken, The Rescuers was made in the 70s at some period. Um, so I do have a certain, I hate using this word, but nostalgia. But yeah, it's like they're not the best period or anything. Like the uh, the 80s to 90s was definitely a better period for sure.
Yeah, The Wall was apparently made in 82, so yeah,
82, yeah.
the 70s really weren't that that prosperous. I mean, like there's always going to be like cult classics there, but I feel like it's kind of the forgotten era along with like the 30s and
Yeah.
40s. I don't know.
Like if there are any films we've neglected to mention, just hit us up in the comments and tell us any like brilliant animated 70s films because I we'd be anxious to hear. But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is probably my favorite work of I don't want to say of the 70s because that's pretty far reaching. I just off the top of my
Mm.
head, it's probably my favorite.
Oh no, 100%. Like I think it's definitely one of the most creative and weird ones of the 70s. You can't. I doubt people would deny that.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. I think that um, there's something to be said about uh, animation back then and now. It's so much different. Everything's kind of CGI,
Hmm.
and I guess this was computer animated, but the way it's used here is so much more experimental and weird. And yeah, I think it's a really good stamp for how much things have changed. I think.
Yeah, it's interesting to go back and see then and now and just compare how far we've come, but also just you know how much we've also like kind of stayed the same because a lot of it's
Mhm.
just very repetitive.
Yeah, I think so. Well, speaking of the 80s, let's fast forward to the late 80s and talk about our boy Steven Soderbergh. Um,
Yes.
with he made his debut feature with Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Yes.
And uh, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a rundown of this because it's not. I know people have seen it, but it's not like a most popular film, so I imagine people wouldn't be like too familiar with it. So essentially, it's like kind of like a bit of like a drama centering on um, what the wife Anne, played by Andy McDowell, and she has a husband who works for this company, and they've been having marital problems
Yes.
and such, and Anne's sister has been sleeping with um Anne's husband behind her back, so she doesn't know about that, and there's been a bit of strain there, and then James Spader's character, Graham, uh, comes into the picture he gets introduced as this guy who needs to stay at his friend's place. They hadn't seen each other in 9 years, and this leads to a bunch of peculiar circumstances that I won't spoil until we get to spoilers. But yeah, that's how I'd sum it up.
Yeah, it's an interesting drama that kind of twists its way like around like I kept waiting for this movie to devolve into like cheap melodrama like Andy McDowell walks in on the two having sex and she's just like how could you do this, but like that never happens. It's not cheap. It's a very intelligent movie and it's very concise. It's
Yeah.
very well written.
Oh, totally. And I was when I looked at the year this was made, I couldn't believe it was made in the late 80s. Like, it feels more like a mid 90s film, or even late 90s, like in terms of how the attitude of it and the way it's written. Like, it's a bit hard to believe it was 80s.
Yeah, the style of it is very much, I don't know. I feel like it still holds up today for the most part. I mean, the phones are different, but that's pretty much every movie not made in like the 2010s. So it's a really it's really impressive how well it's held up, and even with the plot conceit of the videotapes, it's still a form that's used in some capacity today as just a different aesthetic choice, and
Yeah.
it,
I don't know. I never questioned the videotapes. Like, I didn't even think in my mind, oh, that's outdated. Like, it seemed like such a creative way to just like kind of it plays into like kind of the bit of the quirkiness and eccentricities of James Spader's character, I think, and it kind of adds to the whole like kind of creepy vibe of it. Because this film is a little creepy, but not like in a horror way, like in a psychological way, which I found very interesting.
yeah, I don't want to say it's voyeuristic because no actual like watching happens, but like there's a lot of very honest discussion and like very revealing things, and it gets darker than I thought it would be. Like
Hmm.
it like there's that it kind of pulls back the curtains on a lot of these relationships, and like how everything is tied together is really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that it's very like how it's I wouldn't say like you said it's voyeurism, but there is an element of I feel like I'm a fly on the wall watching these things happen and watching it unfold. Like between like the office, the house, the room where they film the videotapes, the bar. There seems to it's everything's so connected and it feels so like simple, but it's so effective in the world building. And I think that's what makes it so like engaging that they're able to like make these locations and just with dialogue and acting alone, they're able to like take them and make them interesting.
Yeah, it's a very simple movie, but I feel like that simplicity works to its utmost benefit because it's very clean cut, it's very to the point, it's very realistic too. Like the dialogue is really well written. It kind of reminded me
Yeah.
of like Quentin Tarantino dialogue, except without like the knowledge that it's Quentin Tarantino dialogue. Like it's not like self-aware in that way. It's not trying to be Tarantino dialogue, if that makes sense.
Mm. And I want to say that I really liked how things played out. Like, um, it kind of keeps the audience guessing in a way with these videotapes and what Andy McDowell's character's motivations are, and what is Cynthia's motivations are. Andy McDowell's sister in the film.
Mm.
It keeps you kind of guessing and stuff like that, and it plays with certain tropes of this whole marriage thing, like oh the husband who works in this like business with like the suit and stuff like that, and it kind of plays with those tropes and kind of makes it um more how would I explain it like more black and white and more like slow pacing, and that kind of makes it more realistic and more fresh, I guess.
Yeah, parts of it kind of reminded me of like a noir movie in terms of its pacing, but like it's a very interesting movie. It's very engaging. Like it's not like an action-packed movie, but it's something that I think most people will come out of having been entertained. Like it's an
Yeah.
engaging movie with a lot of psychological elements that work really well, and the performances in this movie are all really great, I would say.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I thought the acting was quite good. And I don't know, like I know like I'm sure audiences would enjoy this, but it seems a lot more alienating than your typical like drama romantic type psychological film. It seems slightly more, not that it's like art house or anything, but it definitely feels more um, slower and plodding, and I imagine that could turn some people off. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's like one of those kind of gateway movies where like people who aren't most into the more indie side of filmmaking are gonna be first exposed to it, if that makes sense. It's one of
Yeah.
those. I feel like Steven Soderbergh is very good at making these very like I don't want to say low budget because he has made higher budget work, but like very contained and to the point movies that I think most people
Mm.
will be able to enjoy. And he's very versatile, and I think that's why he's one of the most known directors out there, in spite of most of his work being pretty obscure, is because of that versatility and you know how much he's done over the years, and the fact that he's still working today is very impressive, even if it hasn't been so great apparently.
Yeah, I mean Logan Lucky was quite good, which
Hmm.
I quite enjoyed. You've seen that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that was great, and I can see where the style for that and some of the storytelling techniques come from. It was very interesting to watch this. Uh, kind of off topic, but I really like the it had a very refreshing take on like marital problems and sex and stuff like that. It was kind of it was more realistic in a way. I
Hmm.
feel like sure some things are embellished, like the videotapes thing and stuff, but again, that's stuff that could really happen. There are probably people out there who, you know, just get some sort of fulfillment out of, filming people and asking them questions, not doing anything, but just asking questions about their sex life. And I think that by the end, you realize that that's not the case. That he's just using that as an outlet for deeper insecurities, and
Hmm.
it kind of there's kind of a veil over James Spader's character, which gradually gets revealed as the film goes on. Like he starts out totally mysterious and kind of like romanticized in a way, but as you go deeper, he becomes more and more human. And I think that's probably my favorite part of the movie is that the whole James Spader's arc throughout, even though it kind of ends somewhat abruptly, it's still quite engaging.
Yeah, James. I really like James Spader's character in this because, like, you don't know whether to trust him or not, and by the end, you still don't know. There's still that level of ambiguity because you don't exactly know what he's done in the past, but
Mm.
you kind of want to forgive him because he's such a likable character, and he's very sympathetic toward Andy McDowell's character. And what I like about this movie is that I don't think it's like sexist at all. Like, I feel like a lot of it
Mm.
is all the characters are very nuanced and well written, and I feel like it's very reasonable instead of it being like it's not exploitative. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. It's not
No.
like you said, it's very fly on the wall type filmmaking. It's not like trying to it's not trying to romanticize any of the actions in it because and like there's no like hot steamy sex scenes or whatever. In spite of what this like the title says, it's
Mm.
really not that romantic. It's more of a movie about relationships and like just deteriorating and blossoming, and it's a really interesting like intertwining of these four different characters. And on a side note, um this was the first movie of James Spader's creepy sex trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah, Sex Lies and Videotape, and then Crash, the David Cronenberg movie, and then I believe you've seen Secretary. Um,
Mm.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
yes, Secretary. This was definitely better than Secretary to me, but um,
yeah, I don't. You weren't a big fan of that one, if I recall correctly.
no, maybe it was a case where I misunderstood the film's intent, but I don't think so. There was quite a bit that turned me off that film that I don't think that was intentional. But yeah,
Yeah.
but this I think the difference with Secretary in this film is that this one has a better understanding of how sex lies um, affect people more than Secretary does. I think this one, uh, even though like the character has the most opportunity to be cliche, like Peter Gallagher's character John, I think that's correct.
Mhm.
He's like the big businessman, he's kind of the womanizer. He has the most opportunity to be cliche, but by the end, he's just as like subtle and nuanced as anybody. Like he's not a good person. He's an awful person, but you can understand where his frustration and he's toiling with so much things to consider, and even that character is somewhat elevated in the context of the script, which appreciated, I think.
Yeah, I think his character, like, all the characters kind of steer clear of like stereotypes and like cliches, and like I don't like John at the end of it, like, but I do kind of understand his character and his he does seem like a more sympathetic person, even if what he's done is not right, and like I think everybody has I think everyone's really fleshed out in the movie, even like people who shouldn't like normally be as nuanced.
Yeah,
Like it kind of reminded me of have you seen the Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri?
yeah, I have.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that in the character dynamics where it's like all the like there are some horrible people, but they write at them in a way that's like all it's I don't want to say forgiving, but it is more reasonable and nuanced with how it's portraying them.
Oh no, for sure. And I think that film and this film do hold similarities. And, they're both really well done films. I did see that film in cinemas when it came out. I remember loving it.
Me too. I haven't actually seen it since. I should probably watch it again.
Yeah, I definitely would have to rewatch it, like, sometime down the line because it is quite a well done film. And I wonder if it took influence from this film because they have very similar like ways of writing characters. Like I think Ebbing, Missouri is a bit more humorous and cynical maybe, and more like has a more upbeat style to it. But yeah, there are certain similarities to them.
Yeah, and yeah, like I've heard Sex Lies and Videotape called like a comedy, and I don't really think that's quite true. Like there are funny parts, but
Mm,
like
no.
it's mostly like the only parts I really found funny were like James Spader's character and his like little eccentricities, and like how he always offers people iced tea when they come to his house. Like I just
I
found that
thought that was
hilarious.
funny. It's like, is this like? I was thinking in my head, is this IT supposed to like play into his character? Because like, I need more movies where the main character is defined by the drink they serve. Like, it was such a neat little kind of joke, but also kind of told you a lot about who he is as a person.
Yeah,
Like,
he doesn't do tap water. He has like
no.
jugs. He has like gallons of water in his fridge, and he also has iced tea. And this James Spader offering people iced tea was hilarious. I don't know why, but it was.
I, I need more movies where James Spader offers people iced tea. Just
Yes.
there's got to be there's got to be a scene in every James Spader movie where he offers someone iced tea at some point.
Yeah, I'm
That's why
gonna
I hated Secretary now. I know why, because he didn't offer anyone iced tea.
I'm gonna make a movie where it's just James Spader offering people iced tea. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
can you
great.
just cast James Spader? Like he's the only main person, like the main star, and everyone else is just like the random public. And he just goes around to like random people or houses or whatever and just goes, "Hey, would you like some iced tea?" Like.
Yeah, it's like this maybe it could be like a TV show where he like walks around like Hollywood and offers different celebrities iced tea. Like that does kind of sound like a Netflix show or something that would happen.
Yeah. Sounds like comedians and cars, but like James Spader and a lot more. It's a bit of an in joke because unless you would still be funny regardless if you haven't seen this, but it'd be even more funny if you knew like where it came from. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I want this. Make it happen, Hollywood.
yeah, Hollywood. If you're if you're listening to the Diabolicast podcast, then you gotta make this happen.
Also, make funny games again because that would make the point even better. But yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Who would direct? Wouldn't I guess?
I want Michael.
Make,
I want Michelle Hanukkah to do it again because it would just be so funny.
yeah. Yeah. We'll have Noah Centineo as the as the guy who kidnaps them. That'd be a great role reversal.
Yeah, just get a bunch of like teen actors and
Teen actors.
actresses who are like horrible to play like all the characters. That would be an even better satire because like I don't know, because part of the appeal of funny games is the fact that the performances are so realistic, but I don't know. I think it would be like a different take on it, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it would be like a version where it's like more poking fun at them than actually like uh, subverting them and subverting
Yeah.
fiction. Um,
Well, it'd be kind of like making fun of the actors and the stuff they star in, but it's also making fun of the genre as well. It operate under a new layer if you had Noah Centineo. So yes,
yeah, yeah,
I want this to happen.
get Noah Centineo and Adam Sandler as the two guys who just come in and just
Yeah,
be like,
and that girl from Wish Upon, uh, I don't know her name, and the kissing booth, like the
oh,
short girl who's
who Joey King?
Joey King.
Yeah,
She should she should either she should play someone in it. I'm sure she can do. Maybe the wife, but I don't know if she's old
it would just be funny if like they
enough.
were like teenagers playing like the wife and husband with their 6-year-old kid. It's like, wait a minute.
Wait, how does this work? What went wrong in your life for this situation to be a reality? Like, but
Ooh, I want it to be like funny games, but like it's a gay couple instead of a straight one, because
oh yeah,
gay people make everything better.
yes, that would be a solid like retelling. I would definitely be behind that.
Of course,
Yeah.
then that means they would get killed, and I don't want that. And
Oh, yeah.
maybe not because I also don't want them to be the perpetrators because that would give LGBT people
Yeah.
everywhere a bad name. But yeah,
It just be yeah. The intention of it would be slightly weird, and I think like the execution would be like kind of hard to pull off without alienating people. So yeah.
maybe the kid would be like a teenager and like a closeted gay person, and like he escapes or something.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm brewing ideas for this funny games remake. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need it to happen. I need a third one. I need a third installment.
Yeah, I think I need one too after having this discussion. Make it happen. Come on. um, but getting back to Sex, Lies, and Videotape, um, the movie we are apparently talking about. Um, damn, man, maybe we should just do a whole episode just talking about this remake, and we'll plot the whole thing. We'll make the whole movie. Like we'll script it all. Yeah, all the scenes.
We should do that. First,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to like do another shot for shot remake, or if I want
Mm.
to, if I would want to like uh, kind of go off of the source material and make something different. But the reality is, Michel Haneke is a genius, and he'd probably do something great with the third remake. So
Hey, we can hit him up and go, hey, yo, we got some ideas if you ever plan on remaking funny games again. We go, Noah Centennial, someone gay in it. Um, they're all teenagers instead of adults. Um, yeah, we got brilliant ideas. We're geniuses too.
maybe like flip it around and make like the perpetrators like old guys, and make the family like a bunch of like teenagers.
Yeah, that'd be kind of like interesting. I don't know, just any subversion of the original format would be like genius.
Yeah, like it would just
Imagine
be.
some old guy just like looking to the camera and like breaking the fourth wall and I don't know, just saying the dialogue that um, the original does. That'd be just hilarious.
Yeah, it'd be like, correct. It's a golf ball.
One for Beavis and one for Butthead. um, that
Where's
sounds
the
like a great
remote control?
just this old guy rewinds time. It's just like yeah, and like I guess you know the film is so open to like different takes. I think it's one of those films where anyone could like make their own version and be just as valid because it's one of those kind of experiences. I think.
At the same time, it's so perfect. It's like unreplicable. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want this to happen, but at the same time, I don't want people to touch funny games.
Yeah, it's like it's like it's like it's like having a cake and eating it too. You know, you want something, but you don't. You know, what does that could lead to something worse. You know,
Mhm.
if put in the wrong hands, it's like I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this
Back
all
to
started.
sexualizing and videotape again.
This this all started with us talking about how James Spader likes offering people iced tea, and then it devolved into funny games.
Starring Noah Centineo.
So that's the power of iced tea, mate. Okay. In fact, after this podcast is over, I'm going to go down the store and get some iced tea. That's how. This is how much this discussion has changed me.
It's a powerful, powerful, powerful thing.
Yes. Um, I guess the main thing I wanted to mention um, is the whole scene towards the end, like when we just see the videotape and then it cuts to like the actual event happening. So when Andy McDowell and James Spader are having this long conversation, and I thought it was just brilliantly done. It was my favorite part of the film. Just the way that you start having this opinion of him at one point in the scene, and then you come out with a completely different viewpoint on him, and you reconsider everything you thought about him up until that point. And it's a great moment of vulnerability. And sure, you don't really necessarily even like his character to a point, but you understand where he's coming from and where this anxiety and this like kind of like a videotape, shenanigans has been, leading up to. It's a very well done scene. It was my favorite in the film.
Yeah, I like how seamless the transition is between both of them, and like I like how it just like when it ends, it just cuts to John's face, and I guess we're getting into spoilers now, but yeah,
Hmm.
the entire all the videotape stuff is probably my favorite part of the movie, and thus James Spader. But like the way it like affects everyone's lives, what's supposed to be like this private thing is like spun out of control, and it's a very interesting study of how people like take things that weren't even supposed to be their business and just blow them out of
Hmm.
proportion. And to an extent, like they become it like becomes their business, but only because they knew about it in the first place. Like that's an
Yeah.
interesting idea.
Yeah, totally. And I think it doesn't paint as like, James Spader's character being completely in the wrong. It also shows that everyone had a part to play in how, this whole mess started and how it concluded and things like that. And what happens after and stuff like that. They end up getting together and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the ending, like the last few shots where
Yeah.
it just cuts to them being together apparently, and I don't know if that was like the perfect conclusion to this really complex and subversive movie. It just felt a bit like he didn't really know how to end it, so he just kind of ended it at kind of a weird point.
Yeah, the ending is like my one problem with it really. It's kind of rushed, and I feel like it just kind of ends and you're like, "What? Okay." Like
Oh, okay, that happened.
it's not like meaningful or ambiguous. It's just like, "Oh,
No,
well, okay, I guess."
okay then they're together now, I guess. Uh, yeah, I would have preferred an more ambiguous. I guess if I really had to have another problem, is that the film doesn't really have. I know this is kind of a weird thing to pick out, but it doesn't really have any style. It feels um, very like voidless in a way. Like kind of like it definitely has synergy and like a certain rhythm to how it's paced for sure, but I feel like it's very like empty style wise. Like it just seems like a bunch of situations edited together and there's no real like director stamp style wise put on it. But as I said, the story and the dialogue and the acting is what kind of elevates it for me. But um, if we're going by that alone, that was something that I was kind of a bit complexed by, a bit, you know. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I disagree. I think it does have a style, and I think it's just kind of this very clean cut and realistic fly on the wall type style, and I don't know. It doesn't have that like visual touch, but like it's his first feature, and I'm willing to forgive him. The only the biggest problem I have with this movie is that this won the Palme d'Or over Do the Right Thing at Cannes the same year.
Oh,
I mean I
yeah.
really love this movie, but it's not as good as Do the Right Thing. I just
No, Do the Right Thing's like in my top. top movies. This one's really good, but it's not really in my top movies. So I'm a bit disappointed to find that out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, Do the Right Thing is more. I think it's more relevant to a lot more people. Right?
yeah,
Mm. But look, with these Palme d'Or and Oscars, even nine times out of ten, the real filmmakers who deserve it don't get the prize. That's the shame in it.
yeah. I'm just, I am, I'm hoping Spike Lee. I'm not sure if he actually ever ended up getting a Palme d'Or. I'll have to look that up, but yeah,
Yep.
it was very surprising. But you know,
No, yeah.
it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't factor into my enjoyment of the movie. It's just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, it's just something. It was a bit of a missed opportunity. Like, you only have one chance to give these films recognition. And it's just a shame when they don't. And that film, Do the Right Thing, has a legacy now, and it's influential. And you know, a lot of people still remember it. But I think that it would have been great if it kind of like won over, and it would have been cemented as like a really relevant film. But not a slight against this film. It's just something that the people over at the Palm d'Or just didn't do right. They didn't. Yeah.
It's a 9 out of 10 for this movie. Unlike Do the Right Thing, which is a 10.
Yeah. It's a it's a 9 out of 10 for me too. Maybe a hard 8, but I'm gonna keep it at a 9 because
Yeah,
what the film did right, it did really, really, really right.
yes, I'm the same. I'm the same way. I would happily watch it again. It's pretty underrated in all honesty, and
Yeah.
like people have seen it, but it's not like as well known as some of his other ones, in spite of it being like the one that put him on the map. So check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very good film. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um. All right. Well, let's get to the question.
All right.
Right. Um. You want to start us off this week?
Sure. So I've been putting together like a list of movies that I need to watch, like from this decade that I haven't yet seen. Are there any movies that you would recommend for like as best of the decade contenders? Like,
Of the 2010s.
yes,
Okay. Um. Just one that instantly sprung to mind was Under the Silver Lake. I think that's one of the best. Uh.
yes,
Hereditary is one of the best.
heck yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yes. Well, I said the F word. Oopsie.
Whoops, that's not a big
What?
deal.
um, Under the Skin. That's definitely one of the best of the decade. I
I
think.
need to rewatch it, but I'm hoping it does grow on into one of my favorites because yeah,
I
it's
mean, it's no problem if it doesn't, but yeah, it's definitely a film that does grow on you more you see.
yeah.
Um,
I already really like it, but I'm hoping I end up loving it.
yeah. Something else came to mind. I'm hoping that Parasite grows on me, and I can say that's one of the best of the decade. We'll see on a second watch. Uh, and Francis Ha is one of the best of the decade, I think. Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Suspiria is my favorite of the decade thus far. Um,
So yeah, I forgot about to mention that. Yeah, that's definitely mine too.
yeah, yeah. Phantom Thread, I think is one of the best. I know that some people think it's overrated. I don't get that, but
Hmm.
you know, you do you. I think Midsummer is one of my favorites. The Lighthouse also. Parasite, like you mentioned. Hereditary. Francis Ha, like you mentioned. Like a lot. I agree with pretty much every one of them you said. Um, I think The Wind Rises and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya are some of the best, and I'm excited to like I'm excited to finish the decade out because like this is the first decade where I've truly paid attention to movies because
Yeah.
like I mean I kind of grew up in the tens, like this is where I paid most of my attention, and so you know it's fun to like come to the end of a decade and like just reflect on things. It's a nice feeling.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I feel like living for a decade and then looking back on it, it does really create some sort of like feeling that you've kind of lived through it, and it also makes you reflect on memories, and I don't know, I love kind of reflecting on a decade once it's over. It's very fascinating. I think mm, I know you haven't seen it, but Booksmart is pretty good. Um, it's like definitely one of the best of the decade. It's not like in the top 10 or even top 20, but it's definitely should be in like the top 100 or top 50.
Yeah, I keep meaning to watch it. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to. I'll get around to it soon. I haven't seen a lot of like really popular movies from this decade. I feel really bad about it, but I haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street. I haven't seen Drive or Gone Girl or any of that.
Um,
Like, it's like, what? You haven't seen these? But I'm like, yeah, sorry, I don't have all the time in the world, but I'm gonna try and catch up on things. So,
but I know what the worst of the decade is. Um,
swiped.
yes, swiped. Yes, swiped. I was almost gonna make a joke and say it was the best, but I'm not giving that benefit of making it into a joke where I say it's the best. It doesn't get that benefit.
Yeah,
It's that.
ugh.
It makes To All the Boys I've Loved Before look like I don't know, like Donnie Darko. I don't know. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, there's a reason I've avoided even touching anything with Noah Centineo on it because, yeah, yikes.
I have a feeling he might be in like a decent movie in the next 5 years, but for now, most of the movies he's done are pretty bad. So yeah.
Yeah, because like even people like I'm trying to come up with somebody who's been in like a ton of bad movies. I don't know, but like people who are in bad movies tend to be in at least a couple of ones that aren't terrible.
Oh
That
yeah.
doesn't appear to be the case for Noah Centineo, but
Um. Yeah. As I said, To All the Boys I Loved Before. It's not the greatest film, but it's not bad. So that's the closest he's been to something good. Um. Who knows? I'm not even sure if the new Charlie's Angels film will be any good, but if it
is
turns
he
out
in
to be
it?
good, yeah, he's in it.
I didn't know that. I kind of want to watch it out of like morbid curiosity now.
Yeah, same here. I might add it to my watch list just out of. If it turns out to be really bad, I might not bother. But if it gets like decent reviews, then I might take a chance on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The trailers look really bad, and I'm not like
Mm.
they just are really poorly edited. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
we're not holding up.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a chance though if it's well received. But I
Yeah,
kind of doubt it. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess like a movie like The Goldfinch, for instance, it didn't get a good reception, but I went and saw it anyway, and I ended up kind of liking it. So yeah.
I've heard it's not that bad. Like I think most people have kind of come around on it, being like, yeah, it's whatever. But I don't know. I don't really have any interest in seeing it mostly because it doesn't really appear to be my thing. But I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe when the dust settles and you have a different, like, kind of, different mindset, maybe you will, but right now, probably not. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask my question now, I guess.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I've asked this before, but I'd be curious to know what if like films that you hated when you first watched it, but um, when you watch it again, or maybe over time, it's grown on you, and now it's a movie you either like or love, or that.
I life. Uh, firstly, it's grown on me exponentially in just a couple of months.
Oh wow.
And also Mulholland Drive, like I like there was like half of a night where I like just sat and thought about it. I was just like, okay, what does this actually mean? Because like initially I was like, what the heck? I don't like this at all. And then I actually thought about it and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of brilliant.
Yeah, it's basically a nightmare. It's literally a nightmare. Like, pretty much.
I mean, kind
Um,
of. Like the first part is like is like a dream, but like then she wakes up, if that makes sense.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. It is a bit of a nightmare. Like, it makes the whole jump scare with the the lady make more sense when you view it through a dream.
Yeah.
Um, that was such a random scene, especially before the ending. It's like, where'd this come from, Lynch? It's like,
It's very
yeah, I don't know.
startling.
Yeah, it is very startling. Um, I have to say, the new Suspiria, I didn't like it when I first saw it. I didn't like it. And I saw it again, and I had nearly a complete 180 on it. I ended up really loving it, and then by the third time I watched it, it's now one of my favorite movies. So that was the biggest example I can think of a movie that I went from hating to absolutely. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, which I think I've already talked about, but like, I used to think it was like pretentious trash, and then I realized I was just like too young to get it. I was just an idiot.
I mean, we all had movies like that. I think. Oh, Inglorious Bastards. I had the exact same experience as you. I think I was too young to get it, but when I rewatched it, like a few months ago, I ended up liking it a lot more. I bumped my rating up significantly. So,
That is
yeah, that's another
quite
example.
a good movie, I must say.
Yeah, I don't know what my 14-year-old brain was thinking, but yeah, whatever. Um, I think it's a matter of taste and where your brain is, and sometimes movies will resonate with you, sometimes they won't. Who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe in 10 years I'll think Swiped is an underrated masterpiece. I have no clue.
You should watch it again with like and like okay, is this a meta commentary on how bad these movies are? Like is it like the Freddy Got Fingered of the modern age? And is Noah Centineo like Tom Green in the making? Or
Oh God.
I think it's probably just crap, but prove me wrong.
Um, no, I kind of want to like it now.
Just
Um,
don't watch it instead of Phantom Thread. Watch Phantom Thread first, please, because
I
if
think the difference with Freddy Got Fingered is that I like it like on an unironic level, like just removing all the meta commentary, and I just think it's a good movie. I don't even think it's bad on a normal level, but that's me.
from
I
the
just
clips,
think it's a. Hmm.
go ahead.
I'll go on. Oh, I basically just finished. I was just like, I just like it on just as a movie, like just ignoring the meta commentary. It's just the meta commentary makes it funner to talk about because it adds another layer to the movie.
Yeah, from the clips I've seen, it is very funny, but very weird, like bizarrely weird. Like, I,
It's so bizarre and weird. Like that's why it's so funny. It's just like, um,
I saw my first experience with this movie was the sausage piano.
Daddy, would you like sausage?
Yeah, that was a very weird experience. I was like, oh, what's this? What the heck?
That's not even the most weirdest thing in the movie, in my opinion. It's um, just if you ever plan on watching the whole thing, I don't want to spoil anything. You just got to experience it. It's just, it's crazy. It's a crazy movie.
Yeah,
Um,
doesn't he like jerk off a horse?
yes.
Why?
um, I can't tell you why until you watch it. I can't
Oh,
tell you why. It's all a
right.
part of his genius plan.
Well, I guess I'll have to watch it then.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I didn't hate that film on first viewing either. I certainly didn't like it as much, but I didn't hate it. I enjoy it for its bizarre, absurdist humor. Like that's what really drawn me to it in the first place. And then when I kind of thought about it a different way, I realized, wow, this is kind of meta. And yeah, the Red Letter Media review also helped in that line of thinking. So
I haven't seen it. Like I try not to watch like the reviews if I haven't already seen the movie. But yeah,
yeah, they
like
do spoil it.
yeah, but it is fun to watch them because they do give quite a bit of valuable commentary. It did help me see Starship Troopers in a different light, which was nice. So.
Yeah, and shout out to I think it's called Malmrose Projects. She did an analysis of Freddy Got Fingered, and it's so in depth and so like nails everything that I had my thoughts on the movie, and she even goes further into some things I didn't even consider. So if you watch the film, go look up her analysis of it because very well done.
Cool. I will have to do that. Anyhow, yeah, I think that got pretty off topic.
We always get off topic for some reason. Like, I don't know what's.
do
It's just
do it.
how the conversation goes, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to get
Yeah.
into some music?
Yes, this is the bada bing, bada boom. This is the music part. Uh, I don't know. I've been all over the place with what I've listened to this week. It's been strange. Um,
Yeah.
so, just I want to talk about a single first, and that's the new single by Poppy, Blood Money. I don't know if you've, but
I have. It's really good.
yeah, I love it so much. She's like completely gone into like the industrial kind of metal sound she's been tinkering with, and it's glorious. Like,
It is. It is. I really liked her more PC music type stuff, but like this new stuff has been like really interesting and really like a really fun
yeah.
spin on the type of music that like it's like if like Sophie tried to make a ministry song and it's wonderful.
That is such an accurate comparison. I can't even like fathom. But um, yeah, I love the vocals. I love the kind of tongue-in-cheek lyrics.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just very aggressive in your face. I was cooking something last night, and I played it in my house really loud, and I think my neighbors heard it, and yeah, it was kind of awkward. Um, but you know what? It was worth it. Okay, you don't play that song soft. You play it at the loudest volume possible.
Heck yeah. Um,
From Jesus to Christ. It's like, um, it's a good song. Okay, I
yeah.
really like it.
Yeah. I
Um,
listened to the Junior Senior album you recommended.
oh yeah, did you like it?
I did like it surprisingly. I didn't know what to expect, but like I ended up really
No.
enjoying it. It's very unique. It's very in its own lane, but I think most of the songs are really nice, really good.
Yeah, it's so good because like it combines like dance, garage, and like pop aesthetics into one kind of melting pot,
Hmm.
and I really love it for that. And I really love a lot of like the production like effects on it. Like they put a lot of dusty crackle on a lot of samples, and the vocals are like drowned in like compression and like kind of like old recording aesthetics, which really adds to like the aesthetic and like the addictiveness of each of the track. Because every time I go back, I notice something new. It's an album that does grow on you, and on first listen it's still good, but like when you keep listening to it, it's like, oh wow, I didn't notice that, and it just keeps getting better in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a really layered album. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is, and I don't know why, but like it was just like it's fun, but it also has like a real presence. Like it's very I don't want to say in
Hmm.
your face because I feel like parts of it are very restrained, but I don't know, it just has a very good control over the music and what they
Yeah.
want to do, and I think it's a great, really great album. I'm happy you recommended it.
Yeah. Like the like you said, like the crescendos and the parts where it does kind of explode. It's not in your face. It feels like a natural progression, and they have a really good handle over like the the sonic details and like the dynamics of the music. It really helps to like sell a lot of the hooks and a lot of the instrumental parts. So yeah, great album.
Yeah, I would recommend it. 8 or 9, I would say somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think I gave it a 9. Really, I should probably up it to a 10 because like it's just it's an album that I've listened to so much that sometimes a 10's the only way you can express your love for something.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally. Um, I listened to a couple of like new 2019 albums this week. There wasn't that much released, but uh, I hope I'm not mispronouncing this guy's name. Michael Kuwanaga, I think that's how you pronounce it. His new album, just the self-titled album, pretty much. Did you get around to listening to that? Or?
No, I haven't. I haven't listened to that many new albums, at least from this past week. I've mostly been like listening to albums that I was considering for my best of the decade list, but I wasn't sure if they would make it.
Um,
So
okay.
it's mostly just been a refreshing week. But holy cow,
Yeah.
making that list was really hard. But it's out on Twitter. You can go look at it. I'm
Oh
pretty.
yeah, I saw it. It's a very good list.
No
Um,
thanks. I'm pretty
I
happy with it.
personally like I personally like how high Titanic Rising. Um,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the best albums of the decade, so of course it's that high.
it's it's I hate saying this because it's such a people get surprised when I say it, but it's probably my favorite album, probably right now. Yeah,
I mean, that's
like ever.
fair. Like I,
Yeah,
I, I wouldn't say ever, but it's one of my, it's probably one of my favorites too. Like it's a beautiful
yeah.
album.
It's the only album I've heard that like I don't know why, but music never really strikes me on like an emotional like guttural level for some reason. Like there are exceptions, like certain songs, and don't get me wrong, but that's the only album I've heard from front to back that really like actually like affects me emotionally. Like um, I don't know what it is. It's just it's something that's hard to describe, but it does really resonate with me quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a really great album, and like I'm happy that most people actually really like it instead of the new Swans album where everybody's just like, 4 out of 10. It's too repetitive. I'm like, that's the point.
Bruh. Dude, no one's talking about how it's a satire. Like I went in the comment box on Radio Music and other places, no one's talking about that. And I'm like, once you told me that, and I like went through some of the tracks and like listened in, and I'm like, yeah, this is clearly a little bit of satire. Like, but no one's talking about that, which is kind of strange.
I feel like people take Swans so seriously that they act like they're incapable of producing things that like don't actually like have any substance and like are
Mm.
just meant are like actually meant to not have any substance as part of the satirical edge. um but whatever. I mean, like I know a lot of people are still enjoying it as like a Swans album. I just nobody's as hot on it as I am, so
Yeah, no, your stance is perfectly valid. I just think people and maybe in retrospect, people will see the satire, but for now, people are kind of liking it just on its own as a Swans album.
yeah. I mean, maybe me putting it higher than Black Star or like this year on my best of the decade list is gonna turn some heads, but that's okay. I don't care. It's
No,
I think it's
if you like
deserved.
it that much, you like it that much, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I know people would get kind of angry if I put like Poppy Computer as like my top 20 or top 10 of the decade. Like people go like, why that album? You know, that'd be kind of a similar thing.
I don't know. I like to own the music I like. Like, I think a lot of people will get on me for like putting Tragedy by Julia Holter on my list instead of Aviary, but I don't know.
Uh,
I like it more. People will probably get on me for having Slater so high, but I don't care. Like that's the amount of enjoyment I have for that album. Like,
it's your list. I mean,
yeah,
you put whatever you want on it. Like,
I don't give a
yeah.
crap what everybody thinks. Like, I just listen to music and
Damn.
I put what I like on there, and like if people criticize all the Sun Kill Moon and Julia Holter, that's their problem.
I wouldn't. I mean, I like Julie Holter. I saw her live and everything. So,
Lucky dog. I don't think
mm,
she's ever. She's probably come to Kansas. I haven't
yeah.
ended up seeing her. So yeah, fun times.
And she liked my tweet, which was very, which was nice.
Yeah, Zoe Blade, who does the music for like ContraPoints videos, liked my retweet, and I was like, holy cow! Like,
I've been noticed.
yeah,
Oh.
I was in shock, but I was also very excited. Like Twitter is like the coolest social media service because like everybody uses it. So like
Yeah.
like people will recognize like you. It's really neat when you see like people who are like much higher up than you are, just like, oh hey, look, this is funny. No,
Hmm. Yeah, it's nice and I don't know, they're not famous, but Lucy from Letterbox liked one of my tweets once, so that was nice.
dang, cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what did you tweet?
I said she was talking about a Soccer Mummy song, how it was a bop or something like that, and I said, to be honest, that whole album is full of bops, and then she liked my tweet.
Dang, I mean it's true that album almost made my best of the decade list because that's the type of music I've listened to for like the past like half of a year is just like female fronted singer songwriter music with like it's singer songwriter and indie rock, like that sort of hybrid. So like
Hmm.
Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, Julian Baker, like Snail Mail, Soccer Mommy, like people like that.
Yeah,
I'm a hipster, I know, but I don't care.
yeah. Yeah, no, they're good artists and stuff like that. Um, but I'm seeing Carly Rae Jepsen later this month, so I'm
Oh,
getting hyped. I'm so excited, and I'm seeing Wise Blood in March next year. So
cool,
that should
cool.
be good too. Yeah. I don't know how I don't know. I'm probably gonna faint Wise Blood one especially. I don't know how I'm gonna react. Probably gonna faint. It'll be too much for me. But
I don't know that I've ever fainted at a concert, but I've been to quite a few concerts and they are fun. Although
mm,
I mostly have gone to concerts that my dad has interest in because like
um,
it's like getting my dad to go like to like Hatchie or like Julia Holter or somebody like is not gonna be an easy sell. He was like even when we were going to Tool, he was like pretending like it was like boring music and he was just putting him to sleep and I'm like, come on
mm.
man, Tool isn't boring.
I think. See, my dad doesn't care. He'd be like, "Oh, I don't care. Like, if you want to go and if you need me to come, I don't mind. Like, I like hearing new music, but if I think it's good or bad or whatever like
Mm.
that. If I go to a concert, I usually go with like friends or stuff like that. But sometimes I do go with my dad or my.
I went to a Run the Jewels concert with my dad. That was fun.
Oh, imagine Killer Mike just going off the cuff, and your dad's just sitting there like, what the fuck is happening?
Actually, if I remember correctly, he did enjoy that show, but like he was
Oh, did
just,
he? Oh, nice.
yeah, it was just really funny because like he just spouting profanities. It was quite awkward, but like the reality of the situation is you're not paying attention to that awkwardness because you're just jumping around so much.
Yeah, no, and whenever I think of Killer Mike, I always think of the bit on Eric Andre where he's rapping with some girl doing opera. I don't know if you've seen the clip,
Oh yes, I
but
have. Yes, that's hilarious.
those hoes really don't love you, man. I'll make you like a rock. Oh, I love that first season, even though people don't really talk about it as much. I do like it.
I love Eric Andre. I'm excited that there's a new season coming out because
Yes, I'm gonna be there from day one to watch it.
heck yeah.
No question.
Ladies and
Um,
gentlemen, I did not get the job at Fruit Loops.
my body is now your communion. Eat from me, drink from me. Yes.
That's
Imagine just being on the subway and then some random guy just comes like just saying you didn't get the job at Fruit Loops. That'd be like scary as hell.
yeah, like the thing I've always wondered about with like shows like that where they do a lot of those reality jokes and stuff, like seeing how people would react. Like after a while, you'd think you'd get notorious, like like
Yeah.
people would know you and people would like avoid you, or like people would like play into your jokes. Like so, I think you would probably have to like switch up your location every once in a while. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think he gets the people who seem unaware of it in the actual final show, but I reckon he runs into people who know who he is. He probably doesn't include them as so.
Yeah, it's like, oh dang, this isn't gonna work on this guy.
Yeah. No. Um, but he's a very brave person, Eric Andre. He does a lot of brave things. Mm.
Yeah, I love Eric Andre. I think he's probably the
Mm.
funniest guy working today. Um,
He's like the Tom Green of the 2010s.
I would say so. I think that's not a stretch at all. It's
Yeah.
although like I think he's more respected than Tom Green because I don't know.
Mm.
It's
I,
not as crude. Maybe it's weird, but it's not as crude.
yeah, maybe. I think they're different times as well, and that um, I think that started from the beginning of his being an absurd, weird thing, and he let people know that, overtly. But because Tom Green came from MTV and a bit more of a sanitized era, people didn't really catch up on it, as easily. So I think that's why. I don't know.
If you want an unironic Eric Andre, have you seen Ralph the Movie Maker's video on Scorch's PFG TV?
Sorry, which one?
His video on Scorch's PFG TV.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. I don't think so.
It's hilarious. I cannot believe the show exists. It made me like look up a couple of episodes of the show. It's priceless. You have to see it. It's just amazing. I can't believe it
Oh,
exists.
wow. There are many things in this world where I go, how does this exist? Who came up with this idea?
Well, Scorch came up with this idea. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's priceless.
Yeah. Every time I hear Eric Andre, I want to do like the whole nightmare, nightmare, nightmare all the
Yeah.
time. Like every time I meet a friend and Eric Andre comes up, I always fit in the nightmare, nightmare, nightmare somewhere. Like,
Yeah. My favorite Eric Andre part is he had Flavor Flav on.
oh yeah, yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of great Eric Andre bits. I love the one where he's in the art museum and he just starts destroying everything.
Oh, he starts collapsing in the art museum for no reason. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like he has the cane. He just walks in with these dorky glasses, and then he just starts collapsing like a Looney Tunes character. It's just absolutely. I actually burst out laughing when I saw that. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and I love the segment where he's like, cops don't give a shit anymore, and then he like destroys a cop car, and then like kind of dressed up as a cop comes up to him, and he's like, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, "You doing some cool ass shit," and he starts destroying the car with him.
Season 3 is a gold mine of jokes, I've realized. Um, I like when he does the ranch one, where he dresses in a really short
Oh heck yeah!
shirt, and he wears this like Joker hat, and then he just goes around like just going ranch and
It's
just
time to ranch it up,
yep,
Brotendos.
I don't know where he gets the ideas for this crap. I'm so amazed that he's able to do this on TV. It's crazy. It's crazy.
hmm
Um,
I love the part where he's on the subway and he's like dressed as a mailman and he's just opening letters and he's like, and somebody's like, "Hey, that's somebody's birthday card," and he's like, "I know, $5 for me."
or like he tears them up and it's just like
I
um
hate mail.
I hate mail. I don't know. He did the horse one where he was just holding cakes and then he drops them on someone.
That was priceless.
There's so many examples. Just when he met Alex Jones, I think, yeah. At the rally, it's like, you're not Martin Luther King. You're not. Joe Keller sucks this year. That was,
Have you
that was
seen the Black Scientologist skit?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Yes. It was absolutely yeah. Just Eric Andre is like you said, a gold mine of jokes,
I
and
know.
yeah, I think we've talked about Eric Andre for long enough, but I could easily go on.
No, this happens every time I talk about him with anyone. We end up talking about it for so long because there's just so much good, you know, stuff in his show. And,
Yeah, it's wonderful. If you haven't seen
if
the
I
Eric Andre show, whew,
go watch it.
yeah, it's amazing.
Also, to somehow tie this back to music, check out his album Bluff.
Oh
He
heck
made
yeah.
an album. Yes, he it's very weird, noise kind of collage type thing. It must be heard to be believed.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Whenever having a bad day, I usually just put on Eric Andre and everything's okay again. It's like magic.
mhm.
Mm.
Um yeah, I especially love the Wiz Khalifa interview where he just brings out like a naked guy and like punches him in the balls.
Oh yeah.
And Wiz
And
Khalifa's just like covering his eyes.
it's like covering his eyes and just sitting there really awkward. Um, it's like he puts his foot in pasta at one point with one guest. He like um there's I can't remember which guest it was, but it's Hannibal goes like so you want to go someplace that's not this or something like that? And
Yeah.
she's just there like, what? No, I'm fine. And he's just staying there really awkwardly. Yeah, I love those really awkward ones.
Yeah, there's a part where there's one of the interviews where Hannibal like shouts "Waka Flocka Flame" lyrics, which is absolutely hilarious.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's the same interview where Eric like fake barfs and then like slurps it back up and then barfs it up
Oh,
again.
yeah. It's just like it's gross, but it's also like brilliant at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
ladies and
it's Eric
gentlemen,
Andre.
a grizzly bear.
Oh shit, we shouldn't have done this. I don't want to do this bit. Ah! It's like
That's it's so good.
it's like he. Nah, I'd be scared if there was a grizzly bear on set. I'd be like, what the fuck? Where do I go? Like, I can't escape.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty funny if like Timothy Treadwell like survived through Grizzly Man and was like on the show and then they bring out a grizzly bear.
Well, we have a little guest for you. John, bring him out. And then this like random grizzly bear comes out. Um,
And then it like destroys the desk again.
hmm.
uh,
Oh yeah, it ends with the bear destroying the guest, and Derek's like, ah! And then it's like, we'll be right back. Da-da-da.
uh, it's a wonderful show, and
Yes,
yeah,
I I hope it's a good fight fifth season. I feel like it's going to be the worst yet in terms of like insanity. Yeah.
or I mean the best, but
Oh no, it's not a bad show at all. I meant like in a worst in a good way, like in the
oh
best
yeah,
way I can.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's given me so much more joy than you know Friends or Seinfeld in terms of comedy. So yeah,
Anyhow, I
yeah.
think we've rambled about your country for long enough. Is Are you
Yeah.
ready to go into recommendations or
Yeah, sure. Uh, well, I've been thinking. I've seen this movie like around. As long as it's available for you, I was thinking of doing a Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Oh yeah, I do actually want to watch that. So yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Mm, cool.
And I'm going to recommend a kind of a weird movie. I don't know how like easy it is to access, so if you can't do it, that's okay. I can just give you another recommendation. But I was thinking about doing the bizarre satirical teen movie Better Off Dead, directed by Savage Steve Holland, I believe his name is. Yep, it's a
Uh,
1985 movie with John Cusack in it.
oh yeah, I remember you gave that a positive review a while back, and I'm like, oh, I gotta add this to my watch list. But um, no, I've been meaning to watch it. So awesome, cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny and it's really weird. So prepare yourself.
I'll 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 take your word for it. Um, so yep, welcome to the Dollhouse, and Better Off Dead is for next week. Um, just before we end, I'd just like to do a little bit of I released a short film very recently, Detective Sugar Cakes. Um, it's on this channel, so if you just go on the channel, you'll see it as the last upload. But
Yes.
yeah, if you want to check it out, check it out. You know, it's I think it's quite absurd, and it has a lot of allusions to Freddy Got Fingered. So yeah,
I did
for
quite
sure.
enjoy it. It had pretty good production value, actually. Like I was,
Yeah, it was like I I had a shot list, and I had to kind of think about how I was going to plot it out, and because we didn't have a lot of equipment, like we had a camera, a tripod, and like we had a bit of sound as well, so we didn't have a lot to work with, but um, I just did the most with what I had with the lighting and the weather, and I tried to make as it as good as possible with the circumstances. So I hope that carries through in the film. So
yeah, I think it turned out really well. So yeah, go watch it.
yeah.
Log it on Letterboxd. Um,
Yes, it is on Letterboxd. Just search up the exact title and you'll find it. So yeah.
Exciting
Um,
stuff.
yeah, good stuff. Um, all our links are in the description. Twitter, Letterboxd, Rate Your Music. You know the drill. Um,
Yes.
But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.